Yeah, man. I wanted to do something good. I like to vary our films. That was the movie. Now is the film course part of our film night. You know, we don't just watch the movie; we talk about it. That was our 200th movie, and we really have not watched enough documentaries. So I wanted to watch a documentary, and I forget why we were talking about Dark Days, but when I started talking about Dark Days, I think it was like a month ago. We talked about Dark Days. I was like, man, I really want to watch Dark Days. Yeah, I'm really glad we did because I think that film is excellent. Now let's talk about why it's excellent. First and foremost, obviously, it is a topic that I am passionate about, that a lot of people that I am close with are passionate about. And I think ultimately it is a topic that a lot of people are very jaded about, misinformed about. And I think there are a lot of really harmful representations of unhomed people or homeless people. And I think this movie gives a very fair depiction, but it gives something that a lot of other films don't, a very optimistic depiction. You see the impact, the immediate psychological impact of giving someone without a home a home. Like it is night and day, immediate. And I don't think enough people really focus on that, even though it's so obvious. Second thing I want to talk about, DJ Shadow did the soundtrack for that movie. And oh my God, what a soundtrack. One of the great documentary soundtracks ever. But not only is that soundtrack exceptional, DJ Shadow in a movie set in the year 2000, 1999, 1998 when it was filmed, is so perfect for its time and place in New York City. It feels so street culture. It feels so New York. It's hard to imagine a better soundtrack for that film. I think the camera work is excellent. Obviously, it's a very deliberate choice to keep the entire film in black and white. But I think it works so well. And I don't know. It's shot so well. Someone said, did you read the story on how they got DJ Shadow for Dark Days? Well, here's the background right here. When Mark Singer arrived in Manhattan, he was struck by the number of people he saw living on the streets. He befriended many in New York City's homeless community, and after hearing about people who lived underground in an abandoned tunnels system, he met and became close to some members of the Freedom Tunnel community, which stretched from North Penn Station all the way to Harlem. After living in the tunnel on and off for a number of months, Singer decided to create a documentary even though he had never made a film before, hoping the project would make enough money for the residents of the tunnel to move into better housing. Remember when I told you about the intention of this film? Yeah. The filming took place over 2.5 years. The film's crew consisted of subjects themselves who rigged up makeshift lighting and dollies and learned how to use a 16mm camera with a black and white film rig. During filming, Amtrak announced it would forcibly evict the people living in the tunnels in order to reroute the trains through the tunnel. Crazy. This announcement so remember him saying that it was all about the people's health? Wrong. They were developing a new route through the abandoned tunnel, and that one death of that homeless person, unhomed person, cost Amtrak a fair amount of money. This announcement, plus the police presence backing the decision, prompted singer and photographer Margaret Morton to go to the Coalition for the Homeless to help. Eventually, Singer and Morton managed to secure housing vouchers from the Department of Housing and Urban Development for the film's subjects, which enabled them to move out of the tunnels and into their own apartments. The post-production process for this film took years, which delays caused by financial difficulties and Singer's insistence on creative control to protect the tunnel residents. Melissa Nidrich was the editor of the film. The film features music by DJ Shadow, including the score are excerpts from Introducing and his album Uncle, as well as original music he composed for the film, which was later released on the single Dark Days. Dark Days was released in 2000. It won, and I told you this, it cleaned up on the award circuit. It won 3 awards at the Sundance Film Festival: Excellence in Cinematography, Documentary, and the Freedom of Expression Awards, which was chosen as the Senior Programmer's Pick at the 2000 South by Southwest Film Awards and was nominated for awards at several other film festivals. It destroyed. In the year 2000, this documentary cleared house. The film also won the Independent Spirit Award for Best Documentary Feature and the Los Angeles Film Critics Associated Award for Best Documentary. Yeah, I mean, insane. Insane. Making of DVD extra.
Whole platform and he based
It's 40 minutes long. Holy shit. This might be really cool to watch. What happened to the dogs? I don't know that. What became of our unhomed heroes? I'm sure there's information out there. I don't know it offhand. Singer went back into the tunnels 10 years later. Much has changed since the filming of Dark Days put New York's gritty underground on the map 10 years ago, drawing a homeless community living beneath Manhattan out of the shadows and onto the silver screen. For director Mark Singer said the tunnels between 50th and 125th Streets on the west side, where he filmed the award-winning documentary, have completely changed since he filmed. It was completely clean, Singer told WNYC about a recent trip to the site. The graffiti that was there has been painted over and covered. There was no sign of life whatsoever. There were no rats, not anything really. I've never seen it so sterile. The award-winning film will be re-released Friday, July 1st at the Cinema Village East to commemorate its 10th anniversary. During filming, Singer wound up leaving his apartment to live in the tunnels and even enlisted some of the homeless men to build dolly tracks for the camera set up on the lights. But many of those same men now shy away from watching their life on film, according to Singer. Some have moved across country, others have gotten married, and a few have died, he said. It was like a chapter that closed, he said. Brian, shown in the film from the water leaking out of the crack in the pipe, moved to Alaska, and his friend Tommy to try their luck at crab fishing, the filmmaker said. Henry, here you go, this is what happened 10 years later. Henry, one of the old men in the film who ingeniously tapped into the city's electrical grid and makes cornbread in the film, was one of the men given Section 8 housing at the end. He told Singer that a few days after he moved into his home in Harlem, he reconnected with his estranged family and soon moved with his children in Utah. Oh. Good for Henry. Singer lost touch with many of the 100 people he met during his time in the tunnels, but he said he still lives in the city and will run into people at unexpected times. Recently, he was walking through Central Park near one of the tunnel entrances and he ran into Ronnie, the wisecracking man in the film, who explains how he earns money found from trash. Singer barely recognized him now. He has all new teeth. Dee, who was shown smoking crack in the film, finally kicked her habit, Singer said, but sadly ended up in prison. Tito, who's shown taking a sledgehammer to his shanty home at the end of the film, now plays Dark Days at his drug rehab clinic upstate. He tells Singer the film shows the kids how far he came and what he's accomplished in the time since then. Dude. Ultimately, I think there's two lessons I want to teach about this film beyond the obvious film merit, and the kind of like can-do spirit that really leads to great filmmaking sometime, right? Like sometimes great filmmaking is just picking up a fucking camera and showing something amazing. It doesn't have to be more than that. Singer was a first-time filmmaker, and he had unhomed people setting up dolly rigs and lighting rings for him because he knew he was looking at something so unusual and so must see that he was going to find a way. And I think that's important. Someone during the stream, when I was really critiquing this film and giving it a lot of credit, kind of astutely cautioned that gassing this film up too much could, contribute to the exploitation of people. But you can see at the same time the impact a good story, a good film can have. Like the amount of impact this independent documentary had for not only those people's lives, but as a tool to educate and show more people is fascinating. And if there is a story in your life that you need told, something that people need to see, there is no better medium than film. I'm a little bit biased because I'm a cinephile myself, but I'm telling you, there is no better medium than film. In a time where so much gets lost in tweets and in social media posts and the tiny squares on Instagram, a film can really, really tell a story. It can humanize, it can create catharsis, it can create action, it can motivate people. So I think this film has a really uncanny power and really is a great example of what film can accomplish when done well. The other thing I'd like to say about this film is the end monologue from Ronnie is so poignant, where he talks about he title drops, right? He hits you with dark days. But it's very poignant because he essentially says, like, I look back at that time in my life when I lived underground and it doesn't seem real to me. It's crazy what you can live through. It's crazy what you can come back from. And I think there is something to be said about watching a movie like this and realizing, man, if they can make it through that, if they can make life work down there, God damn it, I'm going to make life work up here. It's fascinating. Today, I there are certain songs I listen to when I'm really bumming out. And I've been doing really well recently. My cousin's doing well. My mom's doing well. My dad was doing well till he fell down yesterday and cracked some ribs, but mostly he's doing well. And this song came on and it kind of transported me back to a time where I was really like suffering. When I first started Twitch and I was really going through it. And I just kind of had this moment of like, damn, I really made it through the rain there. I really did. I'm on the other side of this. And I always like to remind people of that because I think a lot of people will make fun of me for being old, and I kind of hold it like a badge of merit almost. I almost hold it as a point of pride because not everybody makes it at fucking 18 years old. Not everybody gets a Lambo when they turn 21. But it doesn't mean that you can't go live your dreams and be a success and have a happy life. And honestly, I think I appreciate what I have more because I dragged ass and tits for so long. I mean? I'm proud to be an unk. And I hope you, if you've been dragging ass and tits for a while, become a successful aunt or unk as well. And if you're even older, know that, you're not old yet. You're only as old as you feel, and there's always a chance. There's always a chance to change your luck and find something meaningful. So yeah, great film, really good film. I love that film. We might watch The Making of Dark Days another time. I'm a little bit gassed. I had to wake up at Lighthouse ? But I'm always happy to answer some film questions. So if anybody has any film questions they want to ask right now, I'm here to answer them as best I can. I'll do my best. As someone who worked for a nonprofit in Skid Row, thank you for shining the light on people society is deemed undeserving and underrepresented. Appreciate this community, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you. Shrek ? Love me some Shrek. You were the captain of the squash team. I was the captain of a squash team at my boarding school for sure. Where did that come from? Why do you think it was shot in black and white? There are a lot of reasons to shoot things in black and white. One thing I will say, this is a basic one, this is just me. If you ever have soft focus on any of your shots, flipping it to black and white always makes it look crispy. Also, black and white is cheaper, easier to shoot, easier to light. Also, it's always inherently more dramatic. Have you seen Carts of Darkness? Love Carts of Darkness. Fantastic documentary. Have you made any movies? I have. I was recently in a film called Peak Season. And then another film before that during COVID. And then I wrote 2 movies that I sold that were never made to Blumhouse. But yeah, if you want to go watch me in Peak Season, it's on Amazon right now. And I play a stupid fucking idiot in that movie, which is, I'm really fucking good at that, by the way. I'm over 60 now, and I was just invited by the San Francisco Film Festival to come be a part of their screening of the short film made about my Twitch stream, so it's never too late. I just love puzzles. You are the best. I say this every stream, every time you pop by, you are my favorite. So yes, go watch I Just Love Puzzles. And I 100% agree with what she said. Also, congratulations. That's going to be awesome. You have to send me that. Can we watch it? I Just Love Puzzles. Let me know when it's out. I want to watch it. And if you say no, I'm just going to pirate it. No, I'm kidding. It humanizes the homeless and social workers. It's so cool to show that everyone has a story. And a lot of time people will look at people like they're garbage. That is very true. I think we also live in a culture right now where it's like bigger number, better person. It's always amazing to me. Like, even though Elon Musk, I don't want to get too hung up on the guy because I don't think the guy deserves my time. But it's amazing to me how many young people think he's so brilliant because he has so much money. Like, there's an immediate equation that they draw where it's like, oh, because he has all this money, he must be giga brilliant. You know what I mean? Or like assigning a monetary value to content too as well, right? Where it's like, this video has X amount of views, so it's relevant or important or smart. Whereas some of like the best videos that maybe don't have the viewership, people don't give it the time. So I don't know. I'm always worried about that as you know, just assigning numbers to people is very dangerous. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, thank you. The editing and shot choices were so humanizing. They really showed that these people were real and had their own happiness and sadness in their lives. Can you go over that again with chat? Shai Thembo, you're the one who should be talking about editing. Shai Thembo is our editor, ladies and gentlemen, and they do a fantastic job. Alerts are still off. They are not. They are not. Yeah, I talked a lot about that one cut, the motivated cut of juxtaposing alerts are silent. Oh, sorry. It's the audio capture. There you go. Fixed. I think it has a lot to do. That edit is motivated, and it's such a great way of showing, the trauma that leads to drug addiction in this, really in a cut, right? In a 1 second here to there. It's fascinating how you can convey thoughts, feelings, emotions, with just juxtaposing and the way that you organize the shots that you have. How do you feel about the Iron Claw movie? I loved it. I'm a big brother. Iron Claw was fantastic. Iron Claw was really good. It was bleak, but very good. As a furniture designer, hostile architecture design is even baked into education that we receive. So new designers are taught how to design objects with hostility, but never reckon with the reasons and motivations behind that hostility. That's fascinating. Thank you for that tidbit. Have you seen Black Bag? I have not yet. Will, I just farted. Thank you. Really tight film commentary there. I think a really interesting aspect of the film is the way the subjects are comfortable in front of the camera. It really shows their friendship with the director was deep. Yeah, I think, what they'll say about great documentary filmmakers is that they shoot and 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 they shoot. A documentary filmmaker will probably shoot, like, no joke, 20 times as much footage as for a narrative film. Like, they just run that camera all the time. They are always on it, and then it comes down to the edit. Film everything and then whittle it down is kind of the documentary filmmaker's credo. What are your top 5 films of all time? I always answer this the same way. This is always difficult for me. Top 5 films is different than the 5 films I enjoy the most. So I think when you talk about the top 5 films, right? You're answering this in a way that you're doing like a sports argument, right? And how do you argue sports? It's not with an eye test. It's usually with like metrics or something measurable, or like, oh, this person's jump shot did X, Y, and Z. And I think for my top 5 films, I usually do the same thing. And so for me, I would say the 5 best films of all time, if I had to rate them, I would probably put 2001: A Space Odyssey at number 1. Beyond anything else, I think 2001 is an absolute masterpiece. In overrated? No. If you know anything about film and when that movie was made, it's so far and away technically better than almost any film ever. If you really watch Kubrick, it's like watching Bo Jackson. Like, he was just preternaturally gifted at everything filmmaking. It's really hard to argue that there isn't one Kubrick film in the top 5 films ever made. The next film I would put in my top 5 films probably ever is Silence of the Lambs. I think Silence of the Lambs is just so fucking incredibly tight. It's just it's just an incredibly tight film. Performance-wise, writing-wise, the way it's shot, it's so good. Number 3, I know a lot of people will grimace about this, but it's Back to the Future. Back to the Future is a perfect movie. It's a perfect movie. It is so fucking good. And they're like literally maybe 1% of the population does not enjoy Back to the Future. And I think because it is so ubiquitously enjoyed, people don't put it in the top 5. Because it is a movie that is like so unanimously well liked, people think that it's not like obscure enough or challenging enough to be one of the best films of all time. To which I say, poppycock. 3, this is really going to piss people off. Jurassic Park. When you understand what Jurassic Park did for changing film, like ushering in the modern era of CGI, the soundtrack, everything about it, incredible. Like, fuck off. Perfect movie. I don't know what else to say. I would probably put that's 4. And then 5. Best films of all time. I'm trying to think, like, it's got to be something huge. It's got to be something like so big.
Oh yeah, wow, that's very cool.
Kubrick has the best movie in every genre.
I've said that before, and it might be right. I'm gonna go. You know what I would say, which comes to mind that people are gonna get really fucking pissed about again. Amadeus. Amadeus might be the best period piece I've ever seen. Amadeus is so good. Amadeus is such an insane period piece. This movie is so fucking tight. And it's like, I mean, just look at the costuming for this. Like, insane. This movie is insane. Barry Lyndon's better. I didn't want to put 5 fucking Kubrick movies on here. You can go Barry Lyndon, The Shining, Full Metal Jacket, Doctor Strangelove, and How I Learned to Love the Atomic Bomb. Like, you can go right down the line, Kubrick, if you really want to be a film prick. That's not a very satisfying answer, though. You know what I mean? If you're just like, yeah, Kubrick made the best fucking movie in every genre, you could make that argument. Films I like the most is a different list. For me, that would probably be Tommy Boy, Fallen Angels, Yojimbo, Anora. Anora was fucking fire, bro. The Thing, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Mandy, Alien 2, Terminator 2, shit like that. Those are like my favorite movies. But that's a different list. You always talk about Mandy. I think Mandy is fabulous. Snatch is better, but both are good. Ooh. Both are good. Lock, Stock feels like it feels like the uncut dope, though. You know what I mean? I like that it's a little gritty. What do you think of Planet Terror? I think it's really bad. I'm going to keep it a whole buck with that. I think Planet Terror was bad. I thought it was... It was what it was. It was like pulpy. It didn't hit in a way that I was like, wow. Death Proof, it's Tarantino, so it's good. I think it's probably Tarantino's worst, but Tarantino's a lot like Kubrick, where even his worst shit is still good, if that makes any sense. You like Dags? I realize you're talking about your top 5 films. I have more modern movies in my top 5. Do you think that When You Were Born impacts your favorite films? No. I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't put 2001: A Space Odyssey on there. I know you think I'm old, but I'm not that old. What the fuck is Tommy Boy? Tommy Boy is the most successful SNL film of all time. It's David Spade and Chris Farley, and it's fucking phenomenal. Except Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that movie is ass. I don't think it's ass. I wouldn't put it in his top 5, but I don't think it's ass. What do you think about OG James Bond movies with Sean Connery? I'm going to keep it a whole ass stack with you. I've never liked James Bond. I've never been a James Bond guy. I don't get it. It's not my shit. I don't think I've ever enjoyed a James Bond movie. In fact, my favorite James Bond movie is The Rock. I think The Rock is by far the best James Bond movie because it disassembles James Bond movies. Mission Impossible, the first one. Mission Impossible 1 is a fantastic movie. Do you think how you watch a movie for the first time dictates how you feel about it? For instance, I don't think I would have liked Hairpin Circus as much if I watched it on my own, but watching it in this setting, that is an interesting theory. That is you know what? I've never given that credence. You think that perhaps being in a more fun environment or watching a project with people that are like helping you appreciate it. Yeah, I would say so. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, one of my favorite comedies ever made. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, if you've never seen it, Steve Martin at his fucking absolute best. SLC Punk ? There it is. There's the movie title ? Yeah, SLC Punk is phenomenal. Snakes on a Plane was my number 1 theater experience because it was a hollering good time. It would have been terrible if I watched it solo at home. I think that's the case with most movies, though, is that they're better in the theater. You know, it is what it is, and it's why so many filmmakers and theater owners and, you know, artists are pleading for you to go to the movies, because it really is an important part of culture, and it's better. It's better when you watch it in the movie theater. To be honest, I've had movies ruined over friends being too much about how good a film is. Interesting. I'm surprised you haven't mentioned any Paul Thomas Anderson movies yet. There Will Be Blood plus Phantom Thread are fantastic. There Will Be Blood is incredible. I would put There Will Be Blood in my top 5. I think an argument could be made there that There Will Be Blood deserves to be in the best 5 films of all time. I can make that argument, and I would agree with that. There Will Be Blood is unbelievable, and the impact of it is just crushing. The end of that movie is just absolutely soul-crushing. Phantom Thread, on the other hand, is a fantastic movie. What a wonderfully made film, and boring as taking a shit. I'm sorry. It is a fantastic film that appeals to absolutely no one. Phantom Thread is so fucking punishingly boring. I'm sorry. Wonderfully made film. I'm so happy I watched it. But God, is it boring. Fight Club, No Country for Old Men, 2 question marks. Yep, they're both fantastic films. Remember, try and pose it in the form of a question. Try and ask a question about the film, please. Would this interest you? Oh, I've heard this movie is really interesting. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. Bar Mayugum. I've heard this is a really interesting film. I've actually heard good things about this. I will probably watch this so far. Favorite movie of the year so far? It's Anora, and it's not even close. What's your favorite animated movie? Ooh. Akira, Ghost in the Shell, Up. Aladdin. Yeah. Iron Giant. Yeah. Perfect Blue. Yeah, Perfect Blue is up there. Oh, Tokyo Godfathers too. I've heard Terrifier 3 should be movie of the year for 2024. I mean, if all you care about is torture porn, if the only genre you care about is torture porn, then yeah. Redline is visually very impressive. I love that film. Is the line I'm finished by DDL and There Will Be Blood a metaphor for the entire movie? I don't know that. I've never heard that theory before. I'm finished. I think it's just some cold shit to say after you murder a motherfucker. You know, to quote Pulp Fiction. Will we ever watch a Serbian film for film night? No, probably not. I think I would get banned. Jenna, I think I would get banned immediately. I don't think I would make it through 30 minutes of that movie without getting banned. Not even worth watching? I don't know. Horror is like spicy food, and if you've tried everything and you need the spiciest Serbian film or fucking, you know, Tetsuo the Iron Man or Ichi the Killer or Art the Clown and Terrifier, like, you know, it's something it's a very specific flavor of film that you're seeking. What's your favorite extreme film? Ichi the Killer, probably. Ichi the Killer is fucking sick. That movie is fucked up. Dude, they gave people barf bags at the premiere of that movie because it was so insane. I saw Mississippi Burning last night and I found it weirdly racist. I wonder what you think of racist movies that win a lot of awards. I'm trying to think about how to answer your question, because your question is, what do you think of racist movies that win a lot of awards? And for that, I do think you have a point, right? I think Crash is actually pretty racist now in context when you watch it back, and that won a lot of awards. And Birth of a Nation won a ton of accolades when it came out, and that movie was about as racist as it can be. However, movies like Mississippi Burning and The Order aren't necessarily racist films, but they're films that deal with very sobering depictions of racism. And I don't think those two are the same. I think films like Mississippi Burning and The Order are important because there are people to this day that will maintain that there is no racism in the United States, that it's a fair and balanced, country. To defend myself, Coretta Scott King boycotted the movie. I'm going to be so real with you. Mississippi Burning came out in 1988. And I probably haven't watched it since I was 21 years old. So I can't immediately tell you how racist Mississippi Burning is. I just remember it's about two FBI agents fighting the Ku Klux Klan. So I can't rightly answer your question. I was trying to answer your question here. I'll give a better example than Mississippi Burning, because I can't really remember that film all that immediately. But there's a film that came out this year called The Order, roughly about the very same subject matter. Basically, the FBI going up against American Nazis, and it's a true story. And I watched this movie, and I'm going to be honest, I think it's the 4th best movie of the year by a wide margin. I think it's fantastic. And a lot of people got very prickly because the depiction of the Nazis isn't like they're just like on their face monsters. They humanize them, but to the effect of like showing how trauma and bad living situations and horrible education and a lack of nurturing can make people Nazis. You know what I mean? It humanizes them in a way that it shows that like there is a whole economy of people and things that lead to people being racist, horrible pieces of shit, right? It's the old saying, if you see a turtle on a fence post, it had some help getting there. And a lot of people had issue with that. A lot of people had issue with a director basically showing how normal people are made extreme. This is also the case of a movie like American History X, which, you know, if you watch it, is about the most humanizing depiction of a Nazi you'll ever see ever. But I think in order to fight a thing, you need to understand a thing. And in order to fight a thing, you also need to acknowledge it fucking exists. And something that a film like The Order does is it shows you that Nazis are not all like feral, you know, rabid dogs. Some of them are fucking smart, scary smart. And the movie talks about like, you know, the guy's up there, he's like, we don't change this country with a burning cross. We change this country by getting into Congress. And you're like, oh my God, yeah. Yeah, that's what they did. They fucking did that. And I think that shit is important, because I do think that there is a huge contingent of people, good Americans, that still have their heads in the sand because they truly believe that all of these bad people are like other. All of these bad people are like Hannibal Lecter, whereas immediately you're in a room with them, you can tell, I'm a Nazi. You know what I mean? But so many of these people with really bad intentions look just like you or me, and they can put a tie on and put some pomade in their hair and shake your hand and look you in the eye and kiss your baby. You know what I mean? And I think those people are really bad at recognizing propaganda. They're really bad at recognizing people that are like weaponized ignorance and all of the the banality of evil. So I think those movies are important for that reason. Yellow Dart, but in the very specific instance of Mississippi Burning, I'm gonna tap out and just say I haven't watched that movie in 14 years. So I couldn't tell you. For movies like Dark Days, where people are already disposed against the premise of the movie, they might not see it because of that. How do you get those people into seats? Film festivals. I guarantee you Dark Days wouldn't have been watched by anyone except for that people who love movies saw this movie and were like, you got to see this movie. Right? That is the good effect of film awards, right? Is that more people will watch these movies. Film awards are kind of fucking a circle jerk, but they do sometimes have a good runoff effect of people go and watch the movie. The best example I can think of that is Moonlight. Moonlight was a film that not many people had seen before it won Best Picture And there was the fallout around the Best Picture win because it was, oh my God, we're not kidding. Moonlight won Best Picture. This is not a joke. La La Land. And then everybody went and watched Moonlight because they're like, what beat La La Land? What the hell? And the viewership of that movie like doubled after it won Best Picture. So there is that unintended effect. Moonlight is incredible. I think you could also put Moonlight, maybe not in your top 5, but in your top 10. That movie's incredible. I'm a big fan of Darren Aronofsky, but my buddy keeps saying he's a thief and I have no idea what he's talking about. Do you? Yes. He's talking to, are you just setting me up because you want me to beat the shit out of Darren Aronofsky? Darren Aronofsky borrowed quite a bit from a filmmaker named Satoshi Kon, who is an animator. And the best example of it is Perfect Blue in its comparison to Black Swan. If you overlay about a dozen scenes from these two movies, they're like scene for scene, bar for bar, shot for shot. And some people get very upset about that. I am not as upset about that. I think Black Swan is transformative enough that I think he really made his own film. But I notice it. I fucking notice it. And I also notice that when his films aren't based on wildly successful anime, they're not as good. They're not as good. I don't think Mother and Noah are as good as Requiem and Black Swan. I'm just saying it. Anyway, I'm not as hard a Aronofsky hater, but if you were asking where that theory comes from, that's where it comes from. What are your thoughts of Fight Club?
Oh, yeah, wow, that's very cool.
Or be damned, when are we doing a little cinematic project in our own? Also, you've fostered an amazing community. Thanks for making us queers and trans
yeah.
feel seen and safe. Pansexual pride, non-binary pride, Neff.
Yeah, get in here, you queers. Come on in. Let me give you a hug. Get on in here. No, I listen. I am a firm believer, in a very selfish way, that I think I think you limit yourself to missing out on some really amazing people if you're a racist or a transphobe or a bigot. And very selfishly, I just want those people around me. Like, I just wouldn't know how to dress without the gays. I don't know what I would be doing. I don't know what I'd be wearing right now. And so, I think you just become a better human being with the more diversity you have in your life. Certainly you miss out on too much good food to be a fucking racist, right? Hold up, what is Requiem based on? He borrows shots from Satoshi programs or projects for both Requiem and Black Swan. What do you think of Spike Lee's Old Boy remake? It's an embarrassment. Top to bottom. It's one of the most humiliating moments of Spike Lee's career. I think he at no point gave any respect to the original Old Boy film. I think he gave no respect to Park Chan-wook, and it shows. Like, in his interviews, he keeps saying, like, don't call it a remake. It's a reimagining. I'm adding my own sauce. And honestly, I'm gonna be real. Spike Lee is better than that. Spike Lee is better than that, and I don't know why he felt like he had to make a Korean like action drama in his own style. If you told me, hey Will, what kind of movies does Spike Lee make? And the response was, oh, Korean action drama, I would be like, what? Do the Right Thing is one of my favorite movies ever. If you grew up in New York or spent any time in New York, Do the Right Thing is such a fantastic, amazing snapshot of a time and place. Anyway, I am a Spike Lee fan, but that film is just like, I just want you to look at something. I just want you to look at something. Here are Spike Lee's projects, right? Do the Right Thing, Black Klansman, Malcolm X. And then you have fucking Old Boy. What even is this poster? What the fuck is this? You know what I mean? It just is so, it's just so anomalous. I don't understand. They must have lured him in with like a bag or something. Studio had the IP and had him make it so he could get funding for Black Klansman. There you go. I never knew that story. Explains a lot. I'm glad he did then, because Black Klansman is fantastic. But yeah, if you want me to evaluate that project in a vacuum, it's just not it. Have you heard the idea that there's no such thing as a true anti-war movie because audiences will glorify regardless of the filmmaker's intent? I've heard that a lot recently in regards to Alex Garland's recent Civil War and Warfare. You ever seen this fucking movie? You ever seen this fucking movie? You ever seen Come and See? You ever seen this fucking movie? Yeah, you see the chat right now? You see the chat right now? See what's happening? Yeah. What the fuck is this? Trust me. There are films that don't glorify war. Here's the thing. Men are very stupid. And rightly so. Right? Men have billions of years of evolution that... So when they watch most war movies, right, they're immediately like, that's pretty sick. And granted, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I know how impactful and sad Saving Private Ryan is. Do I still get a little bit of a hard-on in that one scene with the sniper where he's like, as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall feel no evil, for I is truly my brother's keeper. Like, I'm just like, oh, fuck yeah, shoot those Nazis. Oh, this is so sad. You know what I mean? I understand the idea. And it's the same premise behind American Psycho and Fight Club, right? Those movies are literally the antithesis of what young men interpret them as. They are both anti-greed, anti-violence, anti-machismo films, but when young men watch it, they're like, damn, that guy's got a good six-pack and he's fucking. That looks pretty good to me. You know what I mean? It's the Great Gatsby effect, where young male minds have this ability to separate the juice from the squeeze. They can watch all like the rising action and put away the consequences. They're like, wow, come on. That wouldn't happen to me. And so I think that you can make an anti-war movie. I think it's a lot harder when you have it as an action film. I think anytime you make an action war movie, it becomes it's hard to be a purely anti-war film, right? That's just the truth. I think some of the best anti-war movies have no action, dude. What was the one Zone of Interest? Oh my fucking God. If you want to talk about like bone chilling, ass pounding, anti-war, Zone of Interest is like, you're just like, oh God, the banality of this. Anyway, I do think it's possible to summate. I think it's harder when your focus is an action movie, but the problem is action movies sell. right? People love to go watch war movies, especially The Greatest Generation, right? It's one thing that like old men and young men can agree on is war shit. I don't know what it is. You put an 80-year-old guy in a room with a 17-year-old guy. They're watching a World War II movie. Both of them are like, fuck yeah! Kill them! Kill the fucking Nazis! Just is what it is. Have you ever watched The Prisoner, the TV show from the 60s? It's basically James Bond tries to retire. No, I haven't. That's interesting. The movie Paul was released 14 years ago today, and it was Invincible's first ever cameo on the big screen. Simon Pegg wearing an Invincible t-shirt and comic issue 53 appears in the comic book shop. That's so sick. That's so sick. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for the film portion. That's 5 hours of film. Consider class over. I'm sweating my baguettes over here. And I went a little long because this was our 200th class. 200. Holy smokety smokes. What a accomplishment. Very cool. I'm gonna go spend some time with my lady friend. I got up at 8 a.m. and started working, and I'm cooked, you guys. I was gonna game, but I gave you guys a little extra film night, and I'm sweating my lumps off. Anyway, thank you for being a part of this community. Thank you for being a part of Film Night. I can't believe we are at like 4 years solid watching movies. That's insane. I hope whether this be your first film night or your 200th, that you took something away from it. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's been incredible seeing people that love movies come in and teach me things like tonight, all the things I learned from you. It's been incredible seeing people become film fans, filmmakers, film enthusiasts. And it feels like a really positive and fun part of the internet. So I hope you come back if this was your first time, and thank you for coming back if it's not. I'm going to send you over to Moat Simulator. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Stay dangerous, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. And remember, if you're in LA, I will be on screen or on stage at the Baby No Money concert doing a cosplay with him for his final show in his US tour. So thank you for all you do. Stay dangerous. I hope to see you at the Baby No Money show, and stay dangerous. Good night.